What's up, guys? So today I want to talk to you about something that is more like a mindset that should help you make decisions on common like life questions a lot of people have. So I got this idea from my mom, who asked me if my brothers are like 15, 16, should they be drinking a lot of milk? Because recently she saw some article on like milk is not as good as you're supposed to think, or you know things like that. So the answer I gave to her was obviously not direct, because I suck at giving direct, closed down answers. But it was something like this. So basically, we are at a point where you can find any information, right? And you can find the good and bad sides of anything. So for example, what I mean is, let's say I'm somebody who's thinking about drinking milk, right? I would just have to put the benefits of drinking milk. Let's say let's say this. I'm completely sober now, right? I want to start drinking a little bit more alcohol, right? And I need a little bit something that's not as crazy, but something that gets me sold and gives me permission to go out and sip some alcohol, right? I could write, is red wine really good for the heart, and go in that direction and let it absorb that information, and all the people who wrote those kind of articles and the agenda they have absorb it. Then I can allow myself to go that way. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can choose almost any direction with this nowadays, and you could go that direction, right? I could make a whole video on why is it that teenagers should try some recreational drugs, because of the growth it gives you, and also the insurance it provides that further on in your lifetime you won't bulge out or binge out or something. I could make that whole thing. And somebody who's kind of just wondering, like, damn, I really want to try some ecstasy again, I want to smoke some more weed, but I feel like it's gonna hurt my success. If they watch that, they might get some ideas on how that allows them to go that direction, right? Point is, any idea that you have now, there is people who have agendas to sell you on it or against it, right? So how do you find out what's gonna work? This is how you do it, okay? I talked about this before, and the easiest way is experience along with self-awareness. With experience, should I be drinking more milk? Drink milk, experience it, and be self-aware. Recognize the patterns. How do you emotionally feel after? How does your mental function feel after? How do you physically feel after? How do you feel? Experience will always easily outwin most of these questions. The reason because is you live in it. You live in your body, right? Like there's no other thing. Like, you live in your body. Whatever you feel is pretty accurate on the outcome, right? Compared to finding out some information that you read on Google, on the books by somebody else who might have some agenda, and then going by that and then forcing yourself to do something even if you might feel weird, right? Like, I can write benefits of drinking milk and start drinking milk, and I'm gonna get upset stomach every time. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get used to it. It's gonna take a couple of years, but I'm gonna feel foggy and upset stomach and be like kind of just like feel like shitty for a couple of years and get used to it. Does that work? No. So yeah, that's the gist of what I just want to share, is experience with self-awareness. But if you want to go really in depth and find out, then you have to go in depth, right? Literally very in depth, right? Not just Google it, superficially look at the first 10 pages. You have to get books on the masters in the industry in that niche and see what they have to say, and experience that to a higher level of all the nitty-gritty things. Then you can come to a standpoint where you can be like, all right, I studied it, I understand the types of people and how they're affected, and if you're born and you ate this kind of food, then you can't drink this kind of milk. But if you were in North America and all, then you'd have an educational understanding. But in the end, you still have to run it through experience, right? So as I said, the easiest way to go in the beginning would be just experience how it is, and then be self-aware of how you feel like it. Now, why would I say that this can apply to most of the common questions in life? Is because of something like this. So in my way of thinking, if I had to put one more thing that makes this whole thing much more fulfilling, this whole way of living where you experience and you recognize a pattern of how you feel, and you take general just little bit information of which you can find, but mostly run it from experience and then be self-aware how it's working for you, right? If I had to attach one more last thing, it would be to have points of end goals, or like not just end goal, of like milestones of how you want to be or what kind of lifestyle you want to have, that this kind of mindset allows to get there. Okay, I'm talking so weird. What I'm trying to get to is you should have goals where having this kind of mindset is going to allow your goals to be reached faster. So let me just give you an example, okay? So this kind of question, right, is I faced with a lot of times before, especially when what kind of food I should eat, what kind of exercise I should do. That's a crazy one also. And then also what kind of recreational activities should I allow myself to be involved in, because as you know, I don't want to be involved with anything that harms my health anymore. I don't want to be drinking alcohol anymore. I completely stopped, and all these things. So what is it that is going to tie all this together? And for me, what it is, in my experience, what works for me is ultimate mind function and health, right? Though I use the word ultimate as if it's like I'm talking about a superhero, because I really brainwashed myself that it's possible for me to one day be able to get in such a frequency, in such a way of living, that every day I feel very joyful, right? Now I do feel like that from time to time, very good, on days that I'm hitting it, I'm just on my diet, I'm meditating, I'm just going at life at 200 miles an hour. I feel like that, but it's not all the time, right? But my goal is to be able to have that, maybe even more, but more times in the week than not, right? And it's something I've written down, and it's not as vague as it sounds on the video, but the gist of it is that I want to get to a point where my mental function is so clear, and how I feel every moment of the day is on average so joyful, that I'm just in a different lifestyle than most average people, right? Average people who are just rolling about, even not even people who are, wait 1 second, let me see what the fuck is going on. The cops are here. Okay, no, they're meeting somebody else. All right, okay. What was I talking about? This threw me off. So that's my end goal, and it's almost like a mutant feeling, right? Okay, it sounds kind of like funny. I actually believe it though. I actually believe that I can one day get to a point where I'm just walking, I can see people, how I can understand, read people, how they think. I can I'll be just a master of emotional influence, because I'm trying to be a good salesman here too, right? So it all ties in together. I'm trying to reach a point of lifestyle where I'm just super focused, it's kind of like limitless, right? Obviously not as crazy, but that's the idea I have, and that alone helps all this tie together, because then I can answer with this kind of mindset, experience, and self-awareness, as well as this kind of goal. I can answer most of the common shit that comes by instantly, right? So, for example, what kind of food I should eat? Oh, I already know my diet. What works with me, I'm going to keep doing it. If I see something better, some guru is talking about that I follow and I love and I like their work, then I'll give it a try. If it works for me, I keep on doing it. Get it? That's with food. Exercise. This one is crazy, I just mentioned, because there's so much shit going on right now, like CrossFit. You gotta do all this shit, and you gotta be crazy. Oh no, not CrossFit. You gotta be the type of person who does more Pilates, and which way do you go? What's the best for health, right? It's first you gotta be the type of person who can just go to the gym and work out. That's first, right? That's like basic needs. That's not just working out. But if you want to go excel to higher human function, okay, right? Like what I'm trying to get to, which way should I go? Well, again, what works, right? CrossFit, in my experience, is not something I don't understand what the hype is about. Like, yes, it's very hardcore and stuff, but how long do you think it will last? You do it for 2-3 weeks, your shoulder starts to get achy, your joints start to hurt, and all these things. But on the other hand, when I start doing more basic compound movements, squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, I can do those for months. There's no problems. In fact, I feel more lubricated, if you will, in my joints, and everything feels good. And I feel like I can do this for decades. I feel like I can be in my 50s and 60s and still doing pull-ups. But do you think I can, in my 60s, I can be doing like a deadlift, yank it up and pull it out, then go and jump and do like kettlebell, like freaking pull-ups, if that's a word, you know what I mean, like yanking yourself all over the place like CrossFit does? No. So all that hype, all those articles, all those videos that are in this phase right now, or were a couple months ago, everybody's like, CrossFit is the shit, you know, you gotta do it, oh, it's brutal, man, only for men, all this shit. I could pass it by. I didn't have to go so deep into it because it just didn't work for me, right? And since my ultimate goal is to get best human function and how I feel overall for the long run, I could pass it by. I don't don't get pulled in the whole whatchamacallit, hype. Yeah. So I just gave you an example with food, exercise. Now I can give you one with what's a common one that I have? Let's say recreational activities, like, okay, going out, drinking. This one's pretty easy too. How do I feel after, if I, it's easy for you to get like, hey, you've been sober for a while, why don't you go out for a drink here and there? You can go out, drink a bit, don't have to get blacked out, have a few drinks, chill with your friends, and have a good time. It sounds so fucking good, right? What the hell, man? There's nothing wrong with that. But again, when I think of my ultimate, how do I feel the next day? Even if I wasn't to drink, if I stay out till 4 a.m. the next day, I kind of feel like shit. Because I still want to wake up and do what I want to do. I want to still be able to run my schedule, right? If I wake up I sleep at 4, regardless if I drink or not. Sleep at 4, wake up at 7, how do I feel? I feel like shit. If I do that 2 days in a row, I'm going to crash. The answer is there. The choice comes. Do you want to make that or not? Do you want to take the burden, being tired and shit, or not? But the answer is clear. At least you don't get sucked in. Because if you don't have that kind of mindset and the question comes up like that and somebody says it in that way, come on, a few drinks, it sounds like, hey, like, yeah, it sounds like okay. But when you have that mindset, at least the answer is clear. Hope that makes sense, guys. Peace.